Good day, everyone. We are the Group 2 from 12 STEM 038 and we are here to present our research study entitled The Impact of Wearing School Uniform to the Self-Esteem of Grade 12 STEM Students of FINMA University of Pangasinan.
In light of the finally school uniform and civilian clothes surely aren't new part of the academic experience, examination proposed that the school uniform approach positively affects understudy compared to civilian clothes. Johnson same as the preference of the respondents in school uniform because school uniform got higher percentage compared to civilian clothes. The result is the same result in the study of Adam Kalinski, that garments cognitively affects the individual wearing them.
This research study focused on the impacts of wearing school uniform to the self-esteem of the students. The data gathered were obtained from the selected students of grade 12 STEM in FINMA University of Pangasinan. This study was conducted for first semester academic year 2019-2020. Through the correlational survey method, the researchers needed to collect fundamental data in regards with respondents' profile in terms of age and sex. The researchers' problem in this study was the number of students who were absent in the day of floating of survey questionnaires. The solution to this problem is to address the respondents 1 week before the day of floating of survey questionnaires.
Schools have always had been some sort of restriction on the clothing that students are allowed to wear. The reasoning behind having dress code is to minimize the distraction and to maintain the order of the school setting. The idea of having school uniform is a relatively new one. It is believed that adopting school uniform will build equality among students, keep school safer, and school spirit.
The result of this study will be the great significance to the following. Students. Students should be aware of their rights to wear and to look other students equally without judging them based on their outward appearance. Teachers. This study should aid teachers in helping the students deal with issues such as peer pressure, individualism, and self-discipline. Parents. The parents shall benefit from this study for they will be able to understand their children's way of discipline and performance in school.
School administrators. These should help the school administrators on making schedules of wearing school uniforms that is favorable to the students of the school. Department of Education. It shall give the Department of Education an idea on why there are some students who are lacking of self-esteem. UPA community. This shall give UPA community the ideas on how to improve themselves to wear proper clothes and uniforms. Government. The government may use this data as guide in implementing the rules and policies in the educational system. Future researchers. This research study will serve as guides for other researchers which could improve their study and they might get some ideas from this research study.
The research instrument that we used was survey questionnaire, containing questions in descriptive correlational to determine the impact of wearing school uniform, the self-esteem of grade 12 students of FINMA University of Pangasinan. As a descriptive study, involves a collection of data to answer questions concerning the current status of the subjects in the study. The study also employed a correlational design to determine the extent of which the different variables are related to each other using various statistical instruments.
Survey questionnaires serve as the research instrument of the study containing questions in descriptive correlational to the determination of impact of wearing school uniform to the self-esteem of grade 12 students in the said school. The survey questionnaires was composed of three parts. The first part focused on the respondent's profile in terms of age and gender. The second part was about the preferences of the respondents regarding wearing school uniform. Lastly, the third part focused on the level of self-esteem, where the respondents were asked to rate themselves using Likert scale.
Through the correlational survey method, the researchers needed to collect fundamental data in regards with respondents' profile in terms of age and sex. The researchers' problem in the study will be the number of students will be absent in the day of floating of survey questionnaire. The solution to this problem will address or give the letter of the respondents 1 week before the floating of survey questionnaire.
This section presents the profile of the 48 responses in terms of age and gender. For the statistical treatment of data gathered and collected, the frequency count percentage distribution was used. The upper part of the table shows the frequency distribution of the range of age of the respondents. It shows that 54.17% of the respondents were ages 17 to 20 years old, while 45.83% of the respondents were ages 15 to 17 years old. None of the respondents were under 15 and 20 over. The lower part of the table shows the frequency distribution of the male and female of the research. A total of 62.5% of the respondents were male and 37.5% of the respondents were female.
Preference in school uniform. These sections presents the clothing preference of the 48 respondents based on the preference of school uniform and civilian clothes. The statistical treatment of data gathered and collected, the frequency count and percentage distribution were used. Frequently and percentage distribution of the respondents in terms of school uniform and civilian clothes. Table 2.0 presents that 60.42% of the respondents answered school uniform and 39.58% of the respondents selected civilian clothes. The finding denotes almost all of the respondents prefer wearing school uniform than civilian clothes.
This section presents the level of self-esteem of the 48 respondents based on the indicator statements provided. For the statistical treatment of data gathered and collected, the average weighted mean was used. All of the indicatory statements and level of self-esteem gathered a high transmuted description. The findings imply that the level of self-esteem of the respondents was high or positive.
The computed value for chi-square is 5.2988, and the critical value is 9.49, which means the chi-square is lesser than the critical value. Therefore, the statistics on the table provide sufficient evidence to the researchers to accept the null hypothesis. There is no significant relationship between wearing a school uniform to the self-esteem of a grade 12 STEM student of Philman University of Pangasinan.
The purpose of this study is to determine the impact of wearing school uniform to the self-esteem of grade 12 STEM students of Philman University of Pangasinan. The researchers used socio-demographic data and level of self-esteem scale. This includes 48 grade 12 STEM students. The main instrument used is checklists and rating scales. The researchers used frequency distribution, average weighted mean, and chi-square to analyze the collected data. This was performed June to October 2019.
On the profile of respondents. A.
respondents. 54% of the respondents are ages 17 to 20 years old, while 46% of the respondents are ages 15 to 17 years old. Gender. From 48 respondents, 63% of the respondents are male, while 37% of the respondents are female. On the preference of school uniform. From 48 respondents, 60% of the respondents answered school uniform, while 40% of the respondents selected civilian clothes. On the level of self-esteem of the respondent. The computed average mean for the level of self-esteem of the respondent is 3.756, has transmitted description of high with the descriptive equivalent of often. On the significant relationship between school uniform and self-esteem of respondents. The computed value of chi-square is 5.2988 and the critical value is 9.49. However, there is no significant relationship between school uniform and self-esteem of the grade 12 students of FIMA University of Pangasinan. Therefore, the null hypothesis is accepted.
Students of ages 17 to 20 years old, especially males, prefer wearing school uniform because they are on stage where they don't give so much thought about it. There are many things that they should be facing, like their academic life, rather than thinking of what to wear every day. Some of the students prefer wearing civilian clothes because it is more comfortable for them to move. Students would also want to cope up with the trending or the fashion. They feel level-headed in anything they wear and can express their own style. There is no significant relationship between school uniform and level of self-esteem. It does not only focus on school uniform. Self-esteem is not only affected by the way you dress, but self-esteem is affected by different kinds of factors. Most of these students resulted to a high level of self-esteem. There are many factors affecting a student's self-esteem. It heavily influences people's choice and decisions. Generally, having a positive relationship with others and feel confident about your abilities, feel secure and worthwhile.
Parents should monitor their child's way of dressing. It has become the way of expressing oneself, getting creative, and playing around with the conventional dressing. Students should follow the rules of the school about wearing proper uniform. This will help them not to worry about peer pressure when it comes to their clothes. School should have a program about wearing school uniform. This will help the students to enhance discipline. We recommend future researchers to conduct the same study to offer new findings, to validate the findings in other settings, to conduct research study in the same field for development that may further help students of today and for the future generations.
Research is nothing but a desire to understand the casual explanation of various facts and explain the natural laws which govern them. In conducting this research study, our interest in increasing knowledge motivates us in doing our research in our own field. The quest of knowledge is one of the most important factors in motivating us in doing social research. Discovering the truth forces us to undertake our research.
This research study focused on the impact of wearing school uniform to the self-esteem of the students. The data gathered in this research were obtained from selected grade 12 STEM students in Finman University of Pangasinan. This study was conducted in first semester, academic year 2019 to 2020.
There are students who were absent on the day of our survey, hence it gave us hard time to collect enough data.
Research questions are important because they help provide the focus where the research starts. Research questions are essential to the research process by defining what exactly the researchers are trying to find. And it is the
One is the internet. It helps us through knowing if the research we have conducted is the same as the people who have conducted it. It gives us more idea how to make our research be more better and accurate than the other studies. Second sources is through books and other research papers that have conducted the same searches as ours. This source help us in accomplishing our research to be more and more of what we needed.
The research methodology used in our study is descriptive correlational design in gathering information about the present condition. This study aimed to determine the impact of wearing school uniform to the self-esteem of grade 12 students of Philippine University of Pangasinan. As a descriptive study, involves the collection of data to answer questions concerning the current status of the subjects in the study. This study also employed the correlational design in order to determine the extent to which the different variables are related to each other using various statistical instruments.
The respondents of the study were composed of 48 grade 12 STEM students. The respondents belong to the track of Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, which is primarily designed for SciMath students. STEM is an educational program developed to prepare primary and secondary students for college and graduate study in the field of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Survey questionnaires serve as the research instruments to the study, to the descriptive correlational to the determination of the impact of wearing school uniform to the self-esteem of grade 12 student in the said school. The survey questionnaire was composed of three parts. The first part focused on determining the respondent's profile in terms of age and gender. The second part was about the preferences regarding school uniform. Third focused on the level of self-esteem of the respondents, where the respondents were asked to rate themselves using Likert scale.
On the profile of respondents, over 40 respondents, 26 of the respondents ages 17 to 20. Over 48 respondents, 30 of the respondents were male, while 18 of the respondents were female. On the preferences of school uniform, over 48 respondents, 29 of the respondents preferred wearing school uniform, while 19 of the respondents preferred wearing civilian clothes. The computed average weighted mean is 3.756, which has been transmitted to high with a descriptive equivalent of often. The computed for the chi-square for the significant relationship between wearing school uniform and the self-esteem of the student was 5.2988, and the critical value is 9.49. Therefore, the null hypothesis is accepted.
In our utmost honesty, the research we have is not plagiarized because it is based on our own observation and experience that creates thoughts and curiosity in mind for us to conduct this research. We believe that the research we conduct will improve the self-esteem of the student and to have the greater impact for the next generation.
The strongest part in our study was the background of the study, because in our study, it's not just mere words. We have citations to our topic or background that will support us in starting the research that we had conducted. The weakest was the part of doing the tallying of all the data gathered. It was time consuming. One wrong number and the credibility, consistency, and validity of the data can affect our whole research. Even though it has formulas, we must still take precautionary measures of being careful in encoding the data.
Based on our findings, we recommend that parents should guide their children when it comes to their outfit. Students should wear their proper uniform within the school premises. Schools should encourage their students to wear proper uniform. And lastly, future researchers should conduct the same study in order to find more information that is relevant to the study.
The importance of the study is to determine the impacts of wearing school uniform to the self-esteem of the students. This study also aimed to eliminate the unwanted distractions for the student to be comfortable, confident, and disciplined.
If we were to conduct the study again, we would change the context and location. We would change the settings of our study to have new respondents that would most likely be addressed in our research. By changing the settings, it will widen our research about knowing the impacts of wearing school uniform to the self-esteem of different respondents.
In conducting a research study is not an easy task. You will experience a lot of pressure, sleepless nights, and a lot of circumstances. If we could go back to the start of doing our research study, our advice will be, first, write up your schedule. Deal at one piece at a time. Don't try to tackle up all of your subject at all once. Second, know your resources. Spend more time knowing your resources both online and offline. And third, don't procrastinate and ask for help. You will surely finish your research study successfully.